50 years ago today, the world experienced one of the greatest feats in history with the Apollo 11 moon landing. And today we celebrate by giving you the best PBA bowlers in the world going head-to-head as we bring you the PBA Tour Finals next on CBS Sports Network. In Las Vegas, it is time for the 2019 Barbasol PBA Tour Finals. 8 of the world's best bowlers are here for 5 TV shows over 2 days. When it's all over, one bowler will have a PBA Tour title and big prize money. Our field of 8 is divided into 2 groups. Today we'll have qualifying rounds 1 and 2 with 2 pair of lanes in play, simultaneous bowling, and all there'll be 4 games of qualifying on this show. Group 1 includes the last 2 PBA Tour Finals champions Jason Belmonte and E.J. Tackett, in addition to PBA playoff winner Chris Prather and 10-time champ Bill O'Neill. Group 2 features young Jacob Buttrick, 25 years old already, a 7-time winner on tour, 2-time major champ Anthony Simonson, reigning player of the year Andrew Anderson, and PBA star Marshall Kent. Hello again, everyone, and welcome to fabulous Las Vegas. Great to have you with us on CBS Sports Network for the PBA Tour Finals. Dave Ryan alongside Randy Peterson, Hall of Famer, also joined throughout the weekend by another Hall of Famer in Chris Barnes. RP, we're back together again, my friend, after a whole year off for the PBA Tour Finals.
Yeah, after a whole year. I live 45 minutes from you, and I see you once a year.
It's not nearly enough. Golf next week, okay?
You got it.
What a challenging event here, and a great field of bowlers as we've got qualifying for a couple of shows leading into step ladder finals tomorrow night.
Well, it's a great tournament, a great event for a number of reasons. It's the top 8 of the world's best over the last 2 seasons. The format is also unique. We have 2 groups of 4 bowlers. They'll bowl 4 games of qualifying. We'll break off into step ladder finals until we come down to the winner of each group, and then those 2 will square off. Group 1, got some exciting action for you, starting with E.J. Tackett, who won this event back in 2017. The guy he beat, well, the world's #1, Jason Belmonte. The very next year, that man right there beat E.J. Tackett. The defending champion looks to capture another one of these Tour Final titles. Chris Prather and Bill O'Neill round out the other 2 players in our foursome to start things off. Prather and O'Neill, what a battle they had in the inaugural PBA playoffs. Prather winning a cool $100,000.
Well, Chris Barnes knows a thing or two about winning some big events. 19-time tour titleist and a Hall of Famer. Chris, great to have you with us this year in Vegas.
Nothing better than getting to see the best of the best as these guys have all earned their way here over the last 2 years. We all know about Jason Belmonte, Mr. Universe, and annual runner-up E.J. Tackett. Chris Prather winning the playoffs, but I think my favorite for this early round match is going to be maybe what I think is the hottest guy on tour, Bill O'Neill. His ability to play a little further right on this Mark Roth pattern early, I think will serve him well.
All right, CB, we'll keep a very close eye on that. We can't wait. When we come back, it is Game 1, Group 1. The qualifying begins. Belmonte, Tackett, Prather, O'Neill will kick off the 2019 PBA Tour Finals next.
The Barbasol PBA Tour Finals, presented by Red Rock Casino Resort and Spa on CBS Sports Network, is sponsored by Go Bowling. Promotional offers, tips to improve your game, news, or to locate a bowling center near you. Log on to gobowling.com.
It was open April 18, 2006, the Red Rock Casino Resort and Spa. Spectacular facility on 59 acres in the Las Vegas Valley. Home again to PBA bowling. Now, Mike Jakubowski, our event MC, for player introductions today.
And defending PBA Tour Finals champion, 3-time Tournament of Champions winner. Winning this season's PBA World Championship, he became the first bowler in PBA history to win his 11th career major, ladies and gentlemen, Jason Belmonte. making his third consecutive PBA Tour Finals appearance. He has been in the championship match in each of the past 2 years, winning the title in 2017 and finishing second last year. The 2013 PBA Rookie of the Year and 2016 PBA Player of the Year continued his winning ways by winning the PBA Bear Open for his third title of 2018. Welcome, E.J. Tackett. Since he left Wichita State University, he has had 7 top 5 finishes over the past 2 seasons, including a third in the 2018 U.S. Open. He finally broke through into the winner's circle at this year's PBA Scorpion Championship. The winner of the largest PBA first prize check in more than 7 years at the PBA playoffs, Chris Prather. With a victory in the 2019 Hall of Fame Classic, he became title eligible for the PBA Hall of Fame. The 2005-06 PBA Rookie of the Year and U.S. Open winner is one of the hottest players on tour, Bill O'Neill.
We are bowling once again on the Mark Roth 42-foot oil pattern. From last week, though, they're going to play significantly different, a lot slicker, so the players that like it go straight are going to go straighter. Watch for Belmonte to hook it. And Jacob Buttroff, who we'll see a little bit later, he has the left side of the lane to himself.
Group 1 qualifying game 1. Lanes 5 and 6 for Belmo and EJ. And Prather and Bill O'Neill on lanes 7 and 8 to get us going. A year ago in Allen Park, Michigan, outside Detroit, 4 PBA lane condition patterns, 36, 42, 39, 45. This year, just the 42-foot Mark Roth for the entire event. Underway, 2019 PBA Tour Finals with Belmo. Not the start he wanted, the 7-10 dreaded split.
Yeah.
Interesting. I saw him leave one of those just a couple of days ago in Portland, Maine.
Chris Prather, speaking of greatness in Portland, Maine. Playoffs winner, PBA League champ, had his shirt yesterday in our meetings after winning the PBA League about 24 hours earlier. Not much time.
Yeah, no,
7-pin, leads to 10, early open.
we got done with those shows, and we got done late, and then got about 2 hours sleep, hopped on a 5:30 a.m. flight to fly to Vegas to cover the tour finals here. So it was a pretty quick turnaround for a lot of staff and a lot of players.
Everyone doing such a great job hustling all the way across the country to get it set up here in Vegas. Here's E.J. Tackett, outside Indianapolis. More player of the year. Big star on tour. Good start for E.J.
Hey, and I really want to thank you, Dave, for sending the private jet for us. That was great.
If I only could have done it, I would have. Everyone made it safely, no problem. Good night's sleep, ready to go here for Bill O'Neill. Outside Philly. Wow. All 10 back.
Yeah, Chris Barnes really nailed it with Bill O'Neill. He's been bowling as well as anyone in the last month or so.
12 titles, 2 majors. E.J. Tackett, 2016 Player of the Year. O'Neill is the 8th seed. So we'll see if Chris and Randy were prophetic at the time of the broadcast talking about Bill and his chances here. Qualifying is underway.
Sorry, Dave. Just a little bit light on that shot, but not bad. Now here's a guy who hit the pocket in the first frame, and he's coming off of an open.
That's a bit better for the two-hander from down under.
And just as I expected, he's going to really curve it a lot, and the other players are going to go a little bit straighter. EJ's going to be somewhere in between Bill O'Neill, and Prather's going to be kind of close to what EJ's doing, but this man's going to curve the whole lane.
All right, Chris, your early impressions just underway here with Group 1 qualifying Game 1.
Well, every player, to a man, has had the left lanes tighter on both pairs. And then Jason Belmonte is using a lower pin ball in the left lane and a taller one on the right lane. I'm not sure that's going to last a whole lot longer. He keeps leaving these 7-10s.
Almost had another one, CB, didn't he? How about that? Some drama across the deck to the 10. Back to Chris Prather. Wow. Locked in early. A young star from just outside Chicago. He and his wife have a contract to build a new house. That's what happens when you win the playoffs. And 6 figures, right? Here's that 7-pin for Belmo.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. I don't win 6 figures ever.
You've done plenty of winning in your career, Mr. Hall of Famer.
That was so long ago, Dave. It was like, I think all the TVs were in black and white. Needs to hook. Hooked it.
Wow. 5C, Chris Prather.
Ripped back for another ring 10, though, for Chris. Back-to-back ring 10s on that left lane. Now EJ Tackett, perfect. Through 2.
EJ trying to get back in the winner's circle. Again, after a great 2018. We won the first PBA Tour Finals we had for you from Orlando in 2017 on CBS Sports Network. Back to Prather. There's a 10-pin.
And, folks, remember, it's 4 games, total pins, and that will determine the seeding for a 4-player stepladder finals.
And, Randy, I love the crowd involvement here in Vegas. The atmosphere is a lot of fun. CJ's resume, part of it. There's a late hit on the 10-pin. EJ Tackett's off to a great start. Appearing in the bowler on our show and shows throughout the weekend here in Vegas. Roll a perfect game. Everyone in America can receive a free game of bowling courtesy of Go Bowling. That's amazing. To claim your free game, simply head to GoBowling.com and register for the Go Bowling Free America promotion. Pretty cool. You gotta watch. You gotta log in.
Well, Chris Barnes said that the left lanes look to be a little bit tighter, and we see that already with Jason Belmonte's pin carry, the pocket 7-10, and he almost left it again on the third. That's been on the left lane. Strikes on the right. O'Neal, a little bit softer speed.
For frame, O'Neal, late hit on the 10.
He should have flexed after that one. Head pin came across and just slammed the 10. Watch this. Head pin, sidewall, into the 10. 10 pin goes to the blue tent.
He's kind of a subdued dude, right? And that's not really his style of flex.
Concussion.
That's your style.
Blue tent. Concussion protocol. Yep.
Watch out.
He tried to get a little bit softer and try to get the ball to finish a little bit steeper into the pocket, and that's the result. A little too slow and inside, goes through the nose.
One underway. Belmonte, Tackett, Prather. Wow. All 10 back.
He's crushing the 10 on the right lane.
He is locked in early. Belmo's been doing a little guessing and fishing here to begin game 1. 6-10. Got that.
Jason's wife, Kimberly, flew all the way out from Australia to be here. Interesting story about her travels.
It's never easy.
We'll get there
from that far away.
We'll get there the next time he's up.
Chris Prather off that big $100,000 check in the playoffs in Maine. Chris has Belmo.
Yeah, I'm here with Jason. Jason, what's going on that left lane for you?
Yeah, it's a little tighter down the lane, so the first few shots I was probably a little too soft with it off my hand. That last one, I really wanted to make sure I got around it and hit it a bit harder, and never gave the ball a chance to get to the outside part of the lane. So, I actually want to move a little further right, but with half the game left to go, I feel good on the right lane. Just need to make a couple of better shots in the left lane.
2 different balls, right? Pin down on the left lane, pin up on the right lane.
That's
Are you thinking
right.
about using the pin up ball on the left lane?
There was a part of me that was thinking about that, yeah. Especially now that you're saying it. I mean, if you're saying that, maybe I should. I think I'm going to give the pin down one more crack at it. I feel like I just haven't made a good enough shot yet. So once I do that, we'll see what happens.
A little look inside the mind of the world's #1 player.
A split for Tackett there, Chris. Thanks for that. Great access. We've never had the player interviews live until this year, so much appreciation for everyone on the PBA Tour to allow us to talk to the players. As things develop, we wondered about how Belmo was doing, and we heard from the man himself.
You want me to explain to you what he meant by pin up, pin down?
Go right ahead.
All right, so the pin is nice. Way
Whoa!
to go, EJ.
What a conversion on the split by E.J. Tackett.
So basically the pin is that little round dot that you'll see on these bowling balls, and it's the locator for the center of the weight block. Well, if you put that pin above the finger holes, it's going to create a little bit more length in terms of ball reaction. If you put it below the fingers, it's going to make the ball roll a little bit sooner. And so he was using the pin down ball on the tighter lane, which makes perfect sense. Shot there by Bill O'Neill. Pin up ball on the lane that hooks a little bit more. Now he might use the same ball on both lanes, Dave.
Love it. Belmo, Wife Kimberly, Bill O'Neill. The stars are out in Vegas on the PBA Tour here today. Weekdays at noon Eastern, step into the jungle as Jim Rome unleashes his takes on the toughest topics in sports. It's always smack-off season for the Jim Rome Show right here on CBS Sports Network. Time now, Randy, for the Hammer Tough Spare replay. It's E.J. Tackett early on here today.
Well, this is how you draw it up. EJ, a little bit different attempt, and he starts to the left side of the lane, but he still slings the 2 right over into the 10 perfectly.
DJ had the front 5. A great start. Chris Prather, O'Neill, E.J. Tackett, Belmonte. Underway, Group 1 in Game 1 of qualifying. 2 4-player groups of the PBA Tour Finals. Group 2, Buttriff, Simonson, Anderson, and Marshall Kent. Belmo. 9-pin.
Well, he hasn't figured it out yet. Actually, only one bad shot, but his pin carry is not very good, and that was the lane he was perfect on. And Belmonte still looking for his first double, as is Chris Prather.
Across the deck. Spinning. Helicopters does not take out the 10.
Chris does not look happy. He looks irritated. He just doesn't look like himself. Again, remember what you could be 4th after the 4 games of qualifying and then climb the ladder and still bowl for this title.
It's a long grind. That's all live for you this year for the first time on CBS Sports Network. All the way through the 3rd and final show tomorrow, 5th show total, and that will determine the PBA Tour Finals champ. It does count as a tour title, big prize money. Jason Belmonte, what a season. 4 more titles. Wow, across the deck again, and somehow does not tap the 10.
So one thing that slows him down when he hits the pocket, because he does hit the pocket so much, typically his carry percentage is very high. Except in this game, game 1. Terrible pin carry. I think it's just too much angle. I'm going to ask Chris Barnes about that in a second.
Prather. That's better. We'll see if his demeanor improves. Here's Belmo. Watch out! A whiff on the 10-pin. A rarity for the world's best. Back to Chris with Chris.
I'm here with Chris Prather. You've had pretty good reaction to the pocket. What's going on out there for you? What did you just change?
Well, I was trying to be a little bit more aggressive with my hand at the bottom to get that bigger ASIM and the halo vision to get through the pins, and it's just not wanting to do it. So I'm going to go to a little cleaner cover, symmetrical core in the Idol Pro, and roll it a little bit more to get it to just control the pocket and try to get those 10s out. Because the one that I was trying to be aggressive with, I missed left in 3-6-9-10, and it just wasn't a good shot. So, you know, we got a couple more games. I'm just trying to get comfortable on TV right now.
That's great. First shot was good. Back to you guys.
O'Neill working on a 5-bagger. With a strike here, he'll take the lead here in game 1.
8th frame, Bill O'Neill. Looking good.
Yep. He really is, and he really has.
First time Bill O'Neill has made it to the PBA Tour Finals. Told us yesterday, very excited. Likes the format. Loves the grind of trying to get to that 5th and final show and become PBA Tour Finals champ. E.J. Tackett knows about that. Won it 2 years ago and runner-up last year to Belmonte in Detroit.
Only 2 pins separating O'Neill and Tackett. Yeah. Decent shot, just a pinch high, leaving the stone 9. Way better than leaving a stone 8, in my opinion.
Belmonte, all 10 back into the pit. Are you talking about your personal experience, your Twitter handle?
It's none of your business.
I thought maybe that was a reference. And there's a single pin spare conversion for Chris Kramer, the 5 seed here in Vegas.
Just inside of 5th arrow, out to about the 6th board and back.
Scores. Oh, feeling it now.
Hey, Chris, that looked like Belmonte moved a little bit farther right on that left lane. Is that what you saw?
Yeah, it looked like he moved maybe 4 to 5 further right and firmed up there to keep the ball in front of him and get to go through the pins a different way.
Prather. That looks much better.
Well, E.J. Tackett and Bill O'Neill right now can build themselves a pretty big lead. Bill O'Neill can shoot 280. Max score for Belmonte, 206. And 206 for Prather. Roger that. Sure, roger that. E.J. Tackett has a possible 278. So Tackett and O'Neill can separate themselves here early.
We thought we might have some big numbers based on the old pattern. Talking to the players yesterday. The prediction was some pretty high scores and the 1-lane pattern for the entire PBA Tour Finals this year. E.J. Tackett's enjoying it early. Wow. Looking good, E.J. O'Neill. You're in the end of game 1.
Yes, sir.
Wow, these pins have no chance, Randy.
This is what we term high flush. 7-9 goes late. And that was high. It's okay. Good, great start for E.J. Tackett. He'll be in the high 260s. O'Neill still with 280 possible.
Qualifying rounds 1 and 2. 2 pair of lanes in play simultaneously underway here in Vegas. Show 1 of 5 live on CBS Sports Network. The PBA Tour Finals, and we are watching some big numbers here with a great start for Tackett, 267 for his first game of qualifying. O'Neill, what a start.
I'm going Barnes. Right after the shot.
Got it.
Wow. 280 for O'Neill. Hey, Chris Barnes, we kind of saw a little bit of this last week in Portland, Maine on the same oil pattern. The guys that created a lot of angle had trouble striking. The guys that went a little bit straighter, they didn't.
I think you're spot on, Randy. And what it will change, though, as these guys go more and more games. Like when these guys come back in match 4, I think the guys hooking it will have an advantage. But right now on the fresh, this pattern plays very well if you can stay up close to that friction around 8-9. And the 2 guys doing it best, obviously, are Bill and EJ.
They're off to a great start, CB. 280 O'Neill, 267 for E.J. Tackett. Now, the 2 shows today are live, so No time to re-oil and strip. It will just be on the burn the whole way through. That'll be interesting to see how players adjust to the changing lane conditions. Belmont. Some late game magic here in his first game of qualifying.
Well, you see how deep he is now, and then there's going to be 2 more games bowled on it before he gets back on. And you have to ask yourself, is he going to take to the air? Is he going to start lofting it?
Cross deck. The 10 tapped for Chris Prather, who wasn't even looking at it. It's the feel-out game here. Qualifying's underway.
I've never seen him look this irritated. He is.
Why do you think he is?
I have no idea. I don't know if it's a feel thing. Maybe he's just not comfortable with his game, or something doesn't feel right. But he really does look frustrated. All right, it's a good finish for Belmonte as he throws the last 5 in a row to shoot 206. Prather could throw the last 4 in a row for 206. And does. But there's some separation early. O'Neill 280, E.J. Tackett 267. Belmonte and Prather have some work to do.
Group 1, game 1 complete. O'Neill, the leader, 280. Tackett 267, and a pair of 206s for Prather and Jason Belmonte. 2019 PBA Tour Finals underway. Much more bowling coming your way from Vegas. Back in Vegas, time for game 2, group 2. Let's meet the bowlers with our event MC, Mike Jakubowski.
He has been a fixture in PBA majors and captured his first at the 2019 USBC Masters after finishing second at the PBA World Championship and the last 2 U.S. Opens. Last year, he captured his 3rd PBA Tour title at the Go Bowling PBA 60th Anniversary Classic from Tempe, Arizona, Jacob Buttrup. He won the 2016 USBC Masters and the 2019 PBA Players Championship, becoming the youngest player to win 2 PBA majors. Last year, he proved his versatility and resolve by winning the Gene Carter's Pro Shop Classic in an extremely unique way by throwing a backup ball. Welcome, Anthony Simonson. He is making his first appearance in the PBA Tour Finals, the 2018 PBA Player of the Year. He won his first title at the USBC Masters in March of last year, becoming the Tour's first 2-time winner in 2018 with a title at the PBA Extra Frame Jonesboro Open. From Holly, Michigan, Andrew Anderson. The 2014 PBA Rookie of the Year made his championship round appearance in the 2018, making him one of the most consistent players on tour. Making the championship match in the 2018 Go Bowling PBA 60th Anniversary Classic, finishing 3rd in this year's Tournament of Champions. Making his 2nd consecutive PBA Tour Finals, 4-time PBA Tour champion, Marshall Kent.
Ready to resume, Randy, here in Vegas. Lanes 5 and 6, Buttrup Simonson will get us going. Lanes 7 and 8, Anderson and Marshall Kent. Interesting to see how Andrew Anderson fares coming off the finger injury that he told us about yesterday. That's really limited his effectiveness, the reigning player of the year.
Yeah, there's a couple of interesting things that could happen with these 4 players. We could see Simonson throwing a backup ball on the left side of the lane to mirror Jacob. Not sure he's going to do that, but he can. Showed that clip of him winning.
We just saw him do it. Incredible.
And I think the big question mark for me is how well Andrew Anderson's going to bowl. We talked to him yesterday. He said that he was 100% healthy now coming off of that finger injury. He was a player of the year last year.
Only 24 years old. Holly, Michigan, 2 titles and the major at the USBC Masters last year. Here is Anthony Simonson, Little Elm, Texas, and one of the top young stars on the PBA Tour.
Well, he's not throwing a backup ball, that's for sure. You're right. He is one of our brightest stars on the tour, as is this man. It says Yakima, Washington, but he actually lives here now. I've got a great story about Marshall Kent and his new place. I'll tell you that when we come back from the break.
I want to hear it. Had a house built, just moved in recently. He spent about 10 nights there, right? He told us. He's pretty excited about that. First-time homeowner, Marshall Kent. 15-minute commute, not coming from Yakima, Washington anymore. Spring Valley is where he currently resides. Simo.
You're not going to give
with a 7.
You're not going to give his address.
No, nothing.
Okay. Simonson on that left lane, and Chris talked to us during the break and said all the players said that left lane is starting to get really slick and real slippery down lane.
Kent, 4-time PBA Tour titleist, continues a good start.
And if you think that Kent's strikes sound a little bit louder than some of the other players.
They do sound loud.
He's one of the few players that still uses 16 pounds out here.
Strong guy. Works out constantly. A gym rat. Anderson trying to regain that form. Cross lane. And the 10-pin stands for Andrew. Injured his finger in Hong Kong at the Worlds, just moments after finding out he was Player of the Year last year. How about that? The timing. Buttriff gets a break, and all 10 down.
Hey, Chris Barnes, did you happen to catch that last shot that Jacob Buttriff threw?
I did see it. It was not his best effort, and it speaks to how good his ball reaction is. I'll be shocked if he's not the one that leads this round. And by contrast, I think Anthony Simonson caught the worst break following Jason and EJ, where the guys on the right lane followed 2 players that played relatively straighter.
Like the prediction, CB. Let's see if that holds up. Buttriff just 25 years old. 3 titles this year. What a season.
Andrew missing the 10 or the 7 pin. Excuse me, the 10 pin.
It was a 10. Split 8-10,
and now comes back with that.
Alrighty.
It's hard to see that scoreboard when there's 4 bowlers on it. Thanks, Mike. Mike Edwards, our statistician, as always. PBA champion.
Give you a close-up view. We appreciate Eddie working with us again.
Shot by Simo. He needs to figure out that left lane, and that left lane, the same one that gave Belmo all kinds of trouble.
10-pin stands. Open. And a loss of count for Anderson. Soft-spoken young superstar. Texan. Youngest ever to win a major at 19. Youngest to win 2 majors.
Haven't bowled in 2 weeks.
He's only 22 years old. Marshall Kent has been a bit of an enigma, right?
Yeah.
Kind of puzzling why he hasn't won more on tour. What do you think that is?
I think it's all mental for Marshall. He's got all the tools physically. I think when he's right mentally, and whatever it takes for him to get there, I couldn't answer. But when he's right mentally, he's as good as anyone out here. Well, almost as good as everyone out here, except that one guy. Because I'm not sure anybody's in that same league.
Speaking of the fan involvement, you're talking about Belmo?
Speaking of Belmonte, I just think
4-time titleist this year.
I just think that when Belmonte is at his best, I just think he's that much better than everyone else.
6 year on tour for Kent. 4 titles, but none this year. Trying to get back in gear here in Vegas. There's a 7-pin.
Well, don't go gambling tonight, Marshall, because this was completely unlucky. And we're going to send it down to Chris Barnes.
I'm here with Anthony Simonson. You switch balls in the left lane. What's going on there for you?
That lane seems a little bit tighter, so I went to a ball just a little bit quicker off the spot. That shot was a little more up the lane than I wanted it to be. But I figure a ball that responds to the friction a little bit harder will hopefully make those lanes play a lot closer lane to lane to each other.
All right. Any effect from following Jason, you think?
No, not really. He's probably a little further left than I was, but I don't think there's too much transition going on.
Okay, thanks. Back to you guys.
Great insight. Thanks, Chris. You know what I love about Jacob Buttriff? That's a nice ringing 7. he doesn't use a towel to wipe the oil off of his ball or a chamois. He spins the ball on his shirt. That is so old school, bro. I love it. They have towels. We'd have chamois back in the day.
Did you go to school uphill in the snow both ways too? Or how long ago was this we're talking about?
Dave,
Towels are okay.
I mean, back then, guys that had towels normally kept them in their back pocket.
I'm an old soul, Randy. I'm with him, just giving you a hard time. Good to see the old school once in a while. Anderson Player of the Year said it was a dream moment. We talked to him yesterday about it. And what a year. And he also felt some pressure even with the injured finger. And it was a ligament tear that required almost 4 months of physical therapy. No surgery. But he felt the pressure to defend his Player of the Year honor and go out and bolt early in the year when he really shouldn't have.
Right. Well, and I think there's still pressure on him because he's so far behind the curve now with the injury, and you know he hasn't done anything this season because of that. And I think there's a lot of pressure on him, and I think he puts a lot of pressure on himself to get back to where he once was.
He told us yesterday he's 100%. Has never felt
On the
better.
board.
Let's go back to Simon a moment ago.
Well, the right lane's not the problem.
I'm re-racking.
Yeah, he's perfect on the right lane.
3 for 3.
If that's what the cool kids are doing.
With that 7-pin and a 4-pin on the left lane. And again, he goes to a ball that he says quicker response, meaning that when it sees the dry part of the lane, it's going to have a bigger, more violent motion.
Simonson. Across the deck, that scout can't find the 10.
Well, he liked that shot, and he got it in the right spot, or the right part of the lane, but the ball didn't go through the pins correctly.
Here's Kent, the 7th seed. 29,447 points entering qualification for this event. All 10 back for Marshall. Players qualified based on their 2-year point total ending in the 2019 USBC Masters, wrapping up April 1st. So that's how we get to our final 8. 10-pin there.
Boy, Marshall looks so good.
It's early, but he looks relaxed and comfortable. Game 1 leader Bill O'Neill. PJ Tackett at 267. Sits in second after the first game. Qualifying's underway from the PBA Tour Finals here in Vegas.
Uh-oh.
Whoa. 4, 10.
And let me just add that all 8 of the players in this competition hopped that early charter back from Portland, Maine yesterday morning to get here for a pro-am, some practice.
TV interviews with us.
TV interviews with us, practice session this morning.
A little frustration after that great start for Marshall Kent underway here. Group 2, Game 2 qualifying PBA Tour Finals from Red Rock Lanes in Las Vegas. Be sure to head to PBA.com to check out the latest PBA Bowling Challenge mobile game for iPhone, iPad, and Android devices. More than 23 million people have downloaded the popular game, which is constantly updated with new ball options, venues, competitions, and challenges, and features in-game rewards. Check and click on the PBA Bowling Challenge mobile game at PBA.com and get started today. A lot of fun.
Hey, Dave, you see those free cans right there? You could use some of that Barbasol. Just saying.
I've had the goatee for a couple years. You don't like it? Are you saying?
Yeah, I'm saying.
What's your opinion?
I'm saying I'm going to buy you a can of Barbasol for Christmas.
Buttra, all 10 back. Game 2, Group 2 underway.
I'm just jealous I can't grow facial hair.
That's not true.
Well, I can, but then it looks like I have the mange or something. Just got a spotty.
Anderson.
He needs to get it going, and that's a good start for him coming out of commercial break, doubling up. But not the start he was hoping for when he flagged a 10-pin and then left that little light swisher 8-10. Right now, it's all Buttriff.
Our lone lefty. 6-pin there, but he's in the pocket.
don't know if that was early hook or if he got that one inside a little bit, but that's what tends to happen when you throw urethane because the surface is so rough that front part of the lane goes early, and then you drag oil down the lane towards the head pin.
Anderson trying to regain the greatness of 2018.
That's not great.
Doesn't quite have the touch he needs, especially on that left lane.
Spare for Jacob.
Just a little too firm on this shot here. As you see, he's playing right in between second and third arrow, and just not enough time at that speed for that ball to get back up to the pocket, release the bucket.
Bucket conversion attempt. Got it. It's a good one for the 24-year-old from Michigan. Went to 3 different colleges. Davenport of Michigan. And then Weber International down in Florida. And finished up at Oakland in Michigan. Simonson down there. Strikes. Back to Chris with Andrew.
I'm here with Andrew Anderson. What's going on out there right now for you? What are you feeling?
Well, I only got a couple of shots of practice, and I had the lanes completely backwards to the first few frames there. And now that I'm figuring them out, I'm just trying to get the speed correct in both. This left lane's definitely a little tighter, so I'm trying to throw a little softer. But it's just matching up right now.
Okay, you seeing, and how are you seeing the 2 lanes?
I see left lane significantly tighter in the front part of the lane, and it's making me want to hit it so hard, but then the speed went up, so that's why I bucket.
Okay, so now after the bucket, you move right, or you're just going to throw it softer?
I'm going to throw a really good one, and it's going to be a little softer.
Okay, back to you guys.
Love the access, Chris. Thanks. A foul from Marshall Kent a moment ago. We saw a point there. Check that foul line. Yeah, he touches it. Yep. No doubt.
Oh, he looked down immediately, and the only good news about it is he wasn't working on a spare, so he doesn't lose any count. Interesting, we've had missed spare, single pin spares, fouls. You know, I've had some folks commenting on social media that they can't remember the last time they've seen so many professionals miss single pin spares, and I got to kind of agree with it.
Buttroff, 7-pin.
I'm going to Chris. Hey, Chris, what's your take on all of the single pin spares that we've seen missed this season?
I think it is a little bit generational, but the releases have gotten so much stronger that guys cannot use anything similar to their strike release to throw spares, even with plastic. And so the difference between the 2 games is enough that timing-wise as well, that I think it's 2 separate games and not enough time is being spent on the second part.
Good point. Thanks, Chris.
Watch out, right on cue. Buttroff misses the single pin 7-pin conversion. I mean, as you guys are discussing the topic, and it's something Jacob spoke with us last night, Randy, in our meeting, he has, if there's any weakness in his great season, missed a few 7-pins.
Roll it.
There's a split. Yes, it's a split.
Oh, my.
He's already left one of those, and that looked like it was identical to the last 8-10.
So young bowlers aren't working.
They're not working hard enough on their spare
Hard enough
games,
on spares.
according to Chris, and I would have to agree with it simply based on the spare shooting that I'm seeing.
8-10, Anderson in open frame.
Okay.
Loses count again. Tough start for Andrew. Simonson looking for the turkey here in the foundation frame. The night for Simo. Wow, is way wide.
Well, it only
Got
took
it
like
too
7 frames.
Sorry, Dave, got it too far to the right and caught the OB. There is a ledge out there where if the players get it too far to the right, it's like the ball falls off a cliff.
Much better for Anderson.
Been very eventful so far.
Yep, there's the OB. And
looking down and a force.
I think, Chris, weren't we just talking about spare shooting?
It's been a topic of discussion today and throughout the season on the PBA Tour. So Marshall Kent, after the great start, the first 3 strikes, and struck 4 in the first 5 frames. To his 9th frame of his first game of qualifying, 7 stands.
Come on. Good shot, bad carry.
Simo. All 10 back.
Hey, Chris Barnes, I don't know what your assessment is through 9 frames, 9.5 frames, but mine is very sloppy, all 4 players.
Well, really, I mean, Marshall's had probably the worst luck. Over the top 7, another slam 7 and a foul. He's really close to bowling a big game. I think Jacob is given the biggest opportunity away. You know, he had a chance to really gap out here. Has the best reaction, and the other guys are all kind of scrambling a little bit to figure out what's going on. And I think you're spot on. It's not been anybody's best effort. It's the first game they're trying to learn.
Simonson learns a thing or two about that lane. Blast right through the rack, all 10 down. And Marshall Kent, originally from Yakima, Washington, longtime member of Team USA. We saw Group 1 already with O'Neill and Tackett leading the way. We're going to see Group 1 again and Group 2 again.
See this group right after this game, all they're going to do is just flip pairs.
Just keep on going for their second 2 games of qualifying in this show. And we'll do it all again live right after we finished with show 1. Back-to-back live shows. First time ever. PBA Tour Finals on CBS Sports Network.
Simonson 205. Max score for Marshall Kent 217. Buttriff can still shoot 237.
Marshall Kent. Wow, ringing 10 pin.
Some really good shots shown by Marshall this game for 2-0, that's for sure.
How does that affect you mentally? You're throwing some good shots, but maybe not the results?
It's tough, but, you know, this format still allows you time.
Spare for Kent. And Marshall Kent at 207 after Simonson posted a 205 in his first game of qualifying.
Andrew Anderson really needs to strike out. He can kind of save this game with 190. But Jacob can separate himself.
Lives in Arizona now, originally from Vegas. And grew up coming to this center. And so many others in Las Vegas area. His childhood home about 15 minutes from here. So Jacob, sort of a hometown hero. He's moved away. Kent has moved here, but really got a connection with Las Vegas. Questions for Anderson. Two, 3-7 for Jacob Buttriff.
Could have been more, a lot more. A couple of 7 pins and a 6 pin for Jacob Buttriff. And again, he missed the 1-7 pin in the 8th frame. But yeah, that could have been in the 270s easy. Andrew Anderson's in trouble, and I don't know if it's a ball change. I don't know if it's just something he's doing physically, but he's going to change balls for his fill shot right here. What's something stronger? That looked way better.
And that worked out pretty well. A 170 is the score for Anderson, so he's 4th of Group 2. 237 for Buttriff is the Group 2 leader after 1 game of qualifying from here in fabulous Las Vegas. Game 1 of qualifying for Group 1 and Group 2 in the books. Bill O'Neill, 280 for Game 1. He's the leader. E.J. Tackett, Prather, and Belmonte, 206 in their first game of qualifying. In Group 2, after 1 game, Jacob Buttriff, the lone lefty, 237, leads the way. for this Go Bowling with Randy. Time to go to the Go Bowling Facebook page. And here's the question from Chris. Randy, are you ready?
I am.
He is a speed-dominant player, struggles to slow the ball down when he needs to. What are some ways he can take some heat off of his shot?
Easy fix, Chris. What you want to do first is I want you to move up on the approach. That's going to shorten your steps down, okay? Then what I want you to do is lower your starting position. That's going to shorten your swing. Now, when you start to get the ball moving, you get that ball into the push away. I want you to push it late and slow. This will automatically slow your feet down because your feet always try to follow what the ball does.
Good advice. I love it. Go Bowling with Hall of Famer Randy Peterson. Much more coming up. 2019 PBA Tour Finals from here in Las Vegas. Anderson Buttriff looking for some answers. Along with Simonson, the stars are out here in Vegas. Red Rock Lanes home to one of the biggest comebacks in TOC history back in 2008. Michael Haugen Jr. down by 53 pins after the 6th frame, but chipped away at Chris Barnes' lead. After Chris missed a 10-pin in the 9th, Michael struck twice in the final frame, forcing Chris Barnes to get 20 pins in the 10th. And when he left a 4-pin on his final shot, Michael Haugen Jr. walked away with his first TOC title. A great moment for Michael Haugen Jr.
Well, this is a few frames away from being my favorite place maybe on earth to bowl. Instead, it has some of my most memorable moments, maybe not my most favorite ones. So, great place here. We have a great competition coming up. A few ball changes. I think we'll see some bigger scores in round 2 here for these guys.
All right, Chris. Hey, you're a good sport talking about that one. As we just saw the Ebonite flashback a moment ago, our Barbasol PBA Tour Finals roll on. Group 2 qualifying game 2. It's good of Chris to talk about that. Anderson, Buttriff, Kent, and Simonson on our 4 TV lanes here in Vegas. Now, Chris has had quite a career. 87 TV appearances.
And
19 titles. Hall of Fame.
Hall of Famer, baby.
2 titles last year for Anderson. And then the injury in Hong Kong we told you about. A torn tendon in his finger. And came back and talked to his ball reps as soon as he did it. Said that didn't feel right. Made some adjustments as his second game of qualifying is underway here with 9 down. And then found out not too much later that it was a torn tendon. That decision to stay out and bowl and not take the time off. If it were you, what would you have done? Coming off player of your honors.
I probably would have done the same thing. I mean, for me, it just would have depended on just how limited I was physically. You know, if I felt like I was close and I could kind of, you know, I had a chance, then I would stay out. But if I felt that it was, you know, a huge hindrance, then yeah, I would have taken the time off.
205 for Simonson in his first game.
He's going to curve it a lot this game.
Wow. That takes a left turn into the pocket.
Or as my one fan on Facebook, or it might be Twitter, says, stop saying curve, it's hook. And then I pointed out that, you know what the shape of a hook looks like, right? That's why. What would you call that, a hook or a curve, Dave?
I mean, the ball's curving into the 1-2 pocket.
Thank you, Dave, finally.
But you hook a shot. It's a obviously a major bowling phrase. But yeah, the shape of a hook is you fish.
I do. I like deep sea fishing. All right, he's going to hook it a lot this game. Wow. They're so good at that. You know, him, Belmonte, EJ Tackett, all the heavy-handed guys are so good at really opening up the entire lane. Marshall Kent's good at it. The unusual style of Jacob Buttriff. It's just incredible. I mean, if you've never seen him before and you watched him practicing at your local center, you'd say, hey, this guy couldn't beat anybody. And then you just watch him, and all he does is strike and win.
And he's won 7 times already in 5 years on tour. Here's Kent. Looking for help on the 10-pin. Won't quite get it. 207. See the score in his first game.
Now remember, not too long ago, I promised a story about Andrew Anderson and Marshall Kent.
I've been waiting.
All right, so Marshall has a new place here. You talked about it. He's got a couple of guys staying there. Andrew Anderson and E.J. Tackett. Anderson shows up early yesterday. Marshall gives him the code to the house. Marshall's not there yet. E.J.'s not there yet. Andrew thinks he's walking into an empty house. Starts looking through the house, opens up one of the bedrooms, and there's a body in one of the beds. Well, Andrew closes the door, and he goes and takes a shower. He comes out of the shower, and there's this body standing there. They're face to face. And Andrew goes, "You must be Marshall's brother." And Marshall's brother says, "Who are you?"
Because Marshall didn't tell his brother that Andrew was coming.
Marshall never told his brother that anybody was coming.
It was a bit of a surprise for each of them.
Yeah.
And just hilarious the way Andrew told that story yesterday. Let's go back to CB, lane side.
Hey guys, the biggest changes are by Marshall and Anthony. You've seen Anthony take a giant step left, and he's going to go around it the whole way. Marshall said, "Hey, I can't throw it that good and only shoot 2-0." So he looked at two different options. He looked at a 3-inch phase 2 to make it roll early and kind of lay there to get through the pocket. And the other option is IQ2 or a smaller flare ball, and he went with the smaller flare ball. He's also going to hook it more down lane.
Chris, is Anthony curving it or hooking it?
He's putting the big wheel on it right now.
The big wheel, that's another term.
No, that wasn't one of the choices.
He's curving it.
Thank you, Chris. Another voice of reason. That makes 3 of us.
Check your Facebook page and your Twitter account, because I'll bet people are chiming in right now.
Oh, this guy right now is sending me death threats on Twitter. Anthony Simonson perfect through 3 as he steps up. Buttriff perfect through 4. Marshall still looking for his first double, and Andrew 9 spare with a double.
205 is the first game of qualifying score for Simo here. Cat 207 avoids a split with a 10-pin stance. It's all about total pinfall. Qualifying leading into the stepladder finals eventually tomorrow night. And when it's all said and done, 5 live shows on CBS Sports Network and a PBA Tour champion.
All right, Andrew. I just want to see him bowl good. I want to see him bowl well. I want to see him get some confidence in himself back.
10-pin. Just got enough of it.
There's a hard man.
That was
Flirting with the channel.
That was skinny. I'm going to Chris Barnes.
Anderson feels he's not too far away from returning to the greatness of 2018. And he wants to find a way, he told us, to get a chip on his shoulder. Again, he wants to have that motivation like he did a year ago, returning to form after the injury. It's not just physical, it's mental too, right?
Right, and along those lines, Chris Barnes, do you think that Andrew Anderson is going too straight?
I think he had to overshell and get control of the pocket again. It's kind of old school. And once he sees control of pocket, then he should be able to use some of his tools. But he couldn't figure out if they were going to hook or not hook in game 1. So I think it's what he has to do. I'm not sure it's going to be enough to change anything for him right now, though.
170 his first game, CB. Cross lane there for the 10-A whiff. And the 170 by far the lowest score of anyone in either Group 1 or Group 2 in the first game of qualifying.
Okay.
Well, I can tell you 2 players that wouldn't be very proud of the spare shooting exhibition today, and that would be Mr. Roth and Mr. Holman. You could throw Mr. Williams Jr. into that. 3 of probably the best spare shooters ever.
Surprising to see out here. Kent. Late tap on number 7.
I'm not sure I'd call that lucky, Chris Barnes. Not sure I'd call that hit lucky, but I guess he was fortunate to kick the 7 out late.
Hey, right here I have Marshall Kent. You were between making a little ball change. What made you go with the IQ Tour?
Just a little earlier chord, get the ball to read the mid lane a little sooner. I feel like the idle portal kind of got behind it a little too much, especially on the left lane, so I went to core that rolls a little earlier, see if I can create a little more early hook so I can actually get the ball shaped up the right way.
Sure looks like the right move.
So far.
Chris Marshall, thanks. Great access. Lane level live here with all of our players. The immediate response of the bowlers as the lanes break down. Pretty cool.
By the way, this meant it's perfect through 5. Looking to crack open a 6-pack.
About the front 6 for Jacob in his second game. You bet. Oh, his pins have no chance. All 10 back into the pit.
It's amazing what he does with the urethane bowling ball.
Simon. A strike. Game 2 of qualifying Group 2, midway point. More coming up from Vegas. And the PBA Tour Finals on CBS Sports Network. Second game of qualifying underway for Group 2. Time now, Rennie, for track technique.
And we're going to take a look at Andrew Anderson's beautiful game. Real high backswing, but I love the direction of this swing. You see the ball right over the top of his head, tucks to the inside and gets the hand in a really nice spot. And then obviously his great lines. Take a look at him from profile. We'll freeze it at the top of the backswing. And you can see just how steep this swing is right there. Run it. And right now, the only thing that's lacking is his touch at the bottom of the swing. Something that Chris and I were talking about during the break.
170 for the 6th seed Andrew Anderson in the first game of qualifying. And the open frame for AA in the 5th. Single pin spare conversion miss after the turkey. Trying to regain the form. And the 9-pin stance.
I think that was another ball change.
I might be able to get
Back to Marshall Kent. Looks for the 4-bagger in the 6th. A good shot. And the 10 stands.
Telestrator went out. I was going to try to draw on those beautiful pictures that our director put up, and I don't know what happened.
I just talk. I'm a commentator.
Thank you.
Well, that's easy for you to say.
It's Marshall. It's the 10-pin. It's a spare. Game 2, Group 2 qualifying is underway. Game 1. Tremendous first outing for Bill O'Neill, 280. DJ Tackett behind him at 267. Prather and Belmonte through a 206 game. And we'll see those guys from Group 1 coming up again in Game 4 of our first show qualifying.
That was a good
5
shot.
shows on CBS Sports Network.
That was a good shot.
I changed fair balls.
And Marshall Kent, like he told Chris in that little mini interview, going to a different bowling ball, shaping it a little differently. Right now it's Simonson and Jacob Buttriff in Game 2 of the 4-game qualifier.
Cross lane for the 10. Andrew Anderson's got it.
Thank you. Yeah.
Marshall had to
Hey,
react
ball change.
after that conversion for Andrew.
No problem there on the mark. What a game for Buttriff. Looking for 7. You bet. Here's the Barbasol close shave of the day. Fourth frame. Simonson, just enough, Randy, of the 10-pin.
Yeah, half the ball caught it. The other half was falling off the edge of the lane, but he still covered it. Now, Jacob Buttriff, man, front 7. And Simonson keeps himself in it.
For the front 8, not this time.
Well, I was going to say there was a $10,000 bonus, but that would have just jinxed him.
2-7 baby split.
You know why they call it the baby split?
Why is that?
I have no idea.
It's a small split?
It's because it's the smallest width, maybe. But then again, you could leave like the 4-5 or the 5-6.
10-pin, everything but go down there for Anthony Simonson.
Vegas.
205 first game for him. Spare box lets you watch the bowler and pin deck. He's got that baby split.
I guess that has a token to make it.
So no perfect game, but a big game for Buttriff. Our leader in Group 2 after a 237 first game. 10-pin down. For Simonson, back to Chris with Jacob.
I'm right here with Jacob Buttriff. You said after the 8th frame of the first game, you went from a purple hammer that had more shape down lane to one had less. What did you see to make you switch?
So I actually was I was throwing a really strong and early purple hammer, and I just saw I didn't see the most comfortable reaction, so I went to a purple hammer that I call Old Faithful, and it's just a lot more smoother reaction. So I'm seeing a little bit more shape with it down lane, so it gives me that little extra pop, I would say, when it gets to the pins.
So by getting through the front easier, you're carrying a little bit more, and up until that one, it's been nothing but strikes.
Just air shy. I threw it slow, didn't get it to the left quick enough, so just come out and finish it with the last 2 frames and put up a big number.
All right, go finish it off. Back to you guys in the booth.
CB, thanks. Great access. Jacob, right off that spare after the front 7. Anderson. Right up that 1-3 pocket. Now 10 back.
Nobody going straighter on this pattern than Andrew Anderson, that's for sure. Marshall Kent's lost his carry. He's going through bowling balls. He's juggling different orbs, trying to figure out a way to strike more, but he hasn't found anything. Simonson can strike out for 258, but this man right now in control of game 2 as well. And
a nudge, a bump, it still stands.
You filthy animal.
Is that a Home Alone reference? Where are you going with that one?
Sure.
Great movie.
There you go.
Oh, nearly a 7-10.
There you go. There you go. Some more good carry that Marshall Kent said never. As we take a look at what could have been if the meat of that pin would have gotten a hold of the 7.
There's 7-pin. There's a single pin conversion. Well, Jacob told us last night, just been a dream season for him in so many ways. His rhythm has been great. Mental aspect has been top-notch. 7-pin conversion for Kent.
And max score for Jacob, 267 to go along with his 237 starter. He's going to have a nice lead after 2 games for his side of the stepladder.
6 titles, 6th-year pro Simonson. Already, such a young age. All 10 back.
258 for Simonson, youngest player to ever win the Masters and the youngest player to ever win 2 majors.
Isn't that something? 22 years old. Buttriff, a young gun as well. All 10 back. One more time for Jacob Buttriff.
He'll be in the 260s with good count it'll be over 500 for his 2 games, which is simple math, 250 average a game. Oh gosh. Whoa. There's that OB spot again.
Way off. 1, 2, 7. Ten-pin. Jacob liked it for good reason. Look at the numbers again for Buttriff. 266 in his second game after 237 in the opener.
503 for 2. Wow. Simonson will be in the 230s, and with good count, he'll be 440 plus. Almost 60 back of Buttriff with 2 games to go in the qualifier.
We await a re-rack on lane 5. Anderson. That's better.
3 in a row, baby.
236 max score
off to a start
for Andrew.
Starts way left and gets a break. 238. Coming off 205, so a nice step up for Anthony Simonson in game 2. 4 games of qualifying.
Andrew's going to be a good 100 behind Buttriff. And Marshall Kent not far behind that as Buttriff sets the pace. And I'll tell you what, if you ask the other 7 players in this event, they would have told you that that's no surprise. That Jacob had a really good a really nice ball reaction on this oil pattern, and he's out there all by himself.
He felt confident yesterday. We heard Chris say that as well on the air. Getting us started here in our first show. That's going to really hurry and will not.
First bad shot in 2 games.
1, 2, 8, 10 washout.
Another shot that gets right of the friction and hits that sheet of ice.
Anderson would love to finish this game in style. 235 for his second game of qualifying.
98 behind Buttriff.
Lots of cover. Won't get it all.
And Marshall has to be very disappointed with the way he finished this game and his pin carry.
407 total for Kent. 2 games qualifying. They've got 4 games of qualifying here at Red Rock Lanes in Las Vegas. The 2019 PBA Tour Finals roll on next. Group 2 is through with 2 games of qualifying, and Jacob Buttriff leads the way. 503 through 2. Simonson, Kent, and Anderson at 443, 407, and 405. Second, third, and fourth. Currently, time now for Columbia 300 fun fact. On this date, 50 years ago, 1969, legend Marty Pirano won the Houston Sertoma Open. And less important news, also the same date, 50 years ago, Neil Armstrong became the first person to set foot on the moon. Oh, by the way, NASA Mission Control, also located in Houston. Marty Pirano, may he rest in peace, a bowling and Central New York legend. I worked with Marty back in the day, about 30 years ago, WSTM TV. Joe Ciccone, our great stats man and graphics operator in the truck, was with us as well, coming out of Skaneateles, New York. Great times in Syracuse back then. We certainly miss Marty a lot.
Yep. Well, not the start Prather was hoping for. The same look, though, from game 1.
The same exact
right?
look for Chris Prather as we go back to Group 1. Chris had a 206 as the 5 seed. This guy bowled really well. 280, Bill O'Neill in the first game of qualifying.
Yeah. Let's see how he does when moving over to the 5 and 6, lane 5 being a little slick.
Comes in high. 3-6-10.
Excuse me, Bill O'Neill stayed on 7 and 8. Prather over on 5 and 6. And Belmonte stays on that pair. I'm not sure why they wouldn't have just moved the same 2 players over to the other pair. Oh well.
Good spare.
Yeah, thanks.
Back to Belmo. 206 game for him in the first game of qualifying. Long way to go to determine pulling the step ladder finals tomorrow night. Good start, Belmo. In his second game of qualifying, better than his first game, that's for sure. EJ Tech, 2017 PBA Tour Finals champ, looking for help across the deck for the 10-pin, doesn't quite get it.
Did you see Belmo's first shot? Kind of took to the air a little bit, and I thought that might happen on that right lane if he stayed on 5 and 6, which he has, the 4-time Chris Schenkel Player of the Year.
Wow.
I'm not sure he has to do it on the left lane, though, because the left lane is a little slicker. We'll see in this shot right here. Yep, way farther right.
Big move, good move.
Chris Barnes, what do you see, and what's your opinion with Jason Belmonte's first 2 shots?
Well, Jason's showing, why he is who he is. He's moved way left on that right lane to get it to go through the pins, and it's been an hour since they bowled for score here. And that left lane, he's to carry here in this building generally, and on these pin setters, lots of times more direct angles are a little bit better, and that's what he's doing to try and get it out.
Better result for Prather. Back to EJ. Up to 267 game. 9-pin.
Ugly. Nice shot. Ugly result.
Prather has gone way down. He's balled down 2 or 3 different levels of balls down to a really clean, small flare ball before to try and get the ball to do something different than it did in game 1.
But Chris, Dave and I have been watching him for a game in 3 frames now, and he just looks like he's really frustrated with something.
He might be a little bit frustrated with his game. As we talked to him yesterday, he's not quite as sharp as he'd like to be. And, when you're uncomfortable on TV, it's a high-stress environment. Not having great ball reaction will make you a little edgy.
The mental game. Chris Prather told us about last night was so important. He felt physically he was fine, but he doesn't really seem comfortable yet. Now to his second game of qualifying. Belmo has a high shot and a 6-pin stands.
And a pretty good break, only leaving the 6th.
Bill O'Neill's got to keep it going. Great start. That's better. All 10 back for O'Neill.
I'll tell you what, that Chris Barnes sure knows talent when he went with Bill O'Neill. He's been spot on with that pick.
CB knows a thing, and so do you.
He's been around a bit.
Just a bit.
He's a Hall of Famer. He has had an incredible year. He still has plenty left. Hopefully he didn't hear any of that.
I think he did.
Last thing I want is for him to get a big head.
Free pocket, perfect placement, Bill O'Neill.
It's really nice to see what Bill O'Neill's been doing this season. He had some struggles that lasted for a couple years. He went through some changes, like we all have done, to try to get back in the game. And speaking of Bill O'Neill, let's send it down to Chris Barnes.
We're here with Bill O'Neill, and it's been an hour since you've thrown a shot, but it looks like you picked right up where you left off. How much different are they for you?
Yeah, part of the reason why I'm playing him a little bit straighter is to kind of stay out of the way of the guys that I'm bowling with and in the other group, so they can kind of be a little bit fresher where I am. They are hooking a little bit more than when I left, so I got to keep an eye on that. But I'm like 2 left on each lane from when I bowled earlier.
And that looks like a lot less than the other guys around you.
That is, and that was part of the part of the idea when I decided to play him straight. So we'll see what happens. Let's keep going.
Well, when you're throwing a great, you got great strategy. It looks like it pays off. Keep it going.
Just trying to impress you.
Back to you guys in the booth.
I think he's doing a pretty good job so far, Chris. I like that.
I mean, he's impressing me.
Off to a great start. E.J. Tackett a good shot after his 267. The yellow scores there you see to the left are the first game scores. Prather couldn't even look at the last release and barely nudges that single pin spare conversion. He's gone from looking disgruntled to really disgusted here on TV and qualifying.
I think right now it's just his physical game. He's trying to figure out how to get back into rhythm. And when you see a spare shooter like Prather, he's a really good spare shooter, almost missed that single pin spare. That's just a timing issue.
Bill O'Neill didn't like that one out of his hand, but just one pin for a spare. Prather. Split. No problem, Bill O'Neill. 2010 U.S. Open in Indianapolis. He calls to this day his career highlight. And a great run for O'Neill.
O'Neill, Hall of Fame credentials. And that's just insult to injury when you shoot the 210 and you wrap the 2-pin around the 10.
Title. You saw it for O'Neill. Nice shot. Down the line with a 3-6-10.
Remember, there's been no re-oil, so these players are running into the transition that has occurred since they bowled the first game, which was on a fresh oil pattern.
4 titles, 2 majors this year for Belmo. Spectacular season again. And the 9-pin this time.
Thank you very little.
TOC Fairlawn, Ohio. Chameleon Championship in Allen Park outside Detroit. World Championship also in Detroit. And the Japan Invitational in Tokyo. What a year. Belmo again. Spare for O'Neill.
O'Neill giving the 3-6-10 the business this game. That was the second one he's shot at. He's made them both.
More than $250,000 in winnings already for Belmo this year. Number 1 on tour. There's his single pin spare conversion.
He's made about a quarter of your salary this season.
No. Are we talking career earnings here? Or? Been having a while.
E.J. Tackett, nice double there. He's trying to close that gap between him and O'Neill after game 1. Remember game 1, E.J. Tackett 267, O'Neill 280. Tackett with 3 in a row now. Look out.
Belmo down and watching it blast right through the rack. He's checking footwork there to make sure didn't check up or didn't foul. Apparently just fine.
Looking for 4.
You bet.
Beauty.
Midway through Group 1 and second game of qualifying. 4-bagger for E.J. Tackett. And the great Jason Belmonte, the world's #1 player, trying for another PBA Tour Finals title after winning outside Detroit a year ago against that guy, E.J. Tackett. Kickoff every weekday morning with the most dynamic duo in sports radio as the boys bring you up to speed on all the action from the diamond to the gridiron with hot takes and top-notch analysis. It's Boomer and Gio. Weekdays starting at 6 a.m. Eastern right here on CBS Sports Network.
We should have our own show. Randy Rhino Show.
You got to fix your headset first.
I just did.
I would love to do that.
Yeah, the Randy Rhino Show. We could talk about everything.
How about the Rhino Randy Show?
It sounds way better if it's the Randy Rhino Show.
Back to Prather.
Ball
change.
6
frame. Ball change. Trying to get things going here. He's got to turn that frown upside down. Am I right?
I'm telling you, right now what Chris is trying to do is just get his feet underneath him.
Mm-hmm. Group 1 qualifying game 2. Bill O'Neill shot a 280 in that first game. Take a big lead. Jay Tackett, 13 pins back, was next best. After 2 in Group 2, it's Jacob Buttriff of 503. He's the leader over Simonson, Anderson, and Kent. Portland, champs in Portland. PBA League. It's quite a scene, huh?
Yeah, it was pretty incredible.
Storming the floor after, just amazing.
Yeah, it was like you were at a college basketball
game. That's right.
It was great.
Storm the court. Nothing quite like that.
So, Chris, tell me what you see so far, and why is E.J. Tackett out to that big lead early?
Well, I think much like Bill, he hasn't changed his angles a whole lot. He hasn't opted to move way left. He's controlling the mid lane. He's just an arrow left of where Bill is, and so he's run into a little bit less traffic. Bill ran into a little bit on that left lane, and where he hadn't seen much change, looks like it caught up to him there.
Thank you, Chris. E.J. looking for 5 in a row.
Oh, you bet. He's feeling it. No titles this year. Had 3 a year ago. But in terms of earnings and his average, almost exactly the same as a year ago for E.J. Tackett. So it's been consistent. Going to get back in the winner's circle. This guy's been in the winner's circle plenty. Whoa, Brooklyn time.
I'll tell you what, he's got plenty of hook on that right lane. You know my 2 favorite things about E.J. Tackett? The way he throws it, fun to watch, right? And his attitude. He's got a great attitude.
Totally agree. Always fun to talk to. And quite a golfer.
Yeah, scratch golfer.
There was a point when he was younger, 12, 13 years old, he wasn't sure if he was going to be a pro golfer or bowler. Made a good decision going the bowling route.
I've played with him. He can flat out move it.
I'll bet.
This was left to target the whole way, crosses over for a handy little Brooklyn. Wow.
He must have liked it, walked it out.
It looked like a 7-pin fell over because it fainted.
Neil for O'Neal here. Looks for a turkey.
He's trying to hang.
Great shot.
Yep. Hung out with Bill's dad last week in Portland, Maine. Senior drove up and he had his cousin with him. We had some laughs.
That's awesome. Right at it. Not much hook or curve there into the 1-3 pocket, all 10 back.
Man, you're learning quick. God, I'm so proud of you, Dave. Yeah, he's just going real straight. And again, just trying to find some rhythm.
Right frame, looks for a 4-bagger. O'Neal crossed it. Down goes number 10.
As dirty as a vulture's breath that shot was.
Haven't heard that one yet, Randy. That's good.
Oh, I've got some new material for you, my friend.
I only see it once a year, so we got to get the new ones in. Still shaking his head. E.J. Tackett ran hot. 9th frame. Not this time.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible that he didn't strike on that shot.
So it falls just short of the 7-bagger, but still bowling great here in his second game of qualifying. Belmo 2-6 in the first game. Lofting. And
oh my God. That pin came across and it looked like when a dolphin comes up out of the water and it walks on its tail. That thing almost stood up again. I don't know what pin it was, but let's take a look. Yeah, let's take one more look at this. Let's see. I couldn't tell if it was the head pin or not. That's cray.
no problem, spare ball, and the 10-pin for Belmo. Tackett looking good. Second game qualifying. 10-pin. Tapped. And down it goes.
Why you got to copy? Why you got to copy me? I can't let you outbest me. Come on.
All right, max score for Belmonte, 238. O'Neal, 256. Tackett, 258.
Missed the pocket that time. Great year for Belmont, as we talked about the titles at 6 shows. Jay Tackett, wow.
And with a 250 to go with his 267 starter, Tackett and O'Neill looking to separate themselves from Belmonte and Prather.
For 8 down for Belmo.
Half.
It comes in way high, but a great game. 2-5-3. After he shot a 267 in the first game. Better for Belmo. 226 after 206 in his first game.
Now this to maintain the lead. This strike here will put him in the 240s. Oh boy.
Not quite.
May have fanned it at the bottom of the swing there.
That's frustrating for Bill O'Neill. He knew he needed a good finish. Prather can't even look again.
Hasn't liked anything he's done today.
Really not all day, right? I mean, in the second game of qualifying, almost finished with that.
He's just not happy with himself.
Oh, God.
Nine pin got it. O'Neill trying to finish out this game in style. Second game of qualifying. All 10 back. 233. After the 280 in the opening game. And a 193 off the 206 for Prather. Second game, Group 1. Chris quickly off the lanes to regroup. O'Neill, Tackett, Prather, Belmonte wrapping up their second game.
The Barbasol PBA Tour Finals presented by Red Rock Casino Resort and Spa on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Go Bowling. Promotional offers, tips to improve your game, news, or to locate a bowling center near you. Log on to gobowling.com.
Great to be back at Red Rock Lanes here in Vegas. Group 1, Group 2 complete with 2 games of qualifying. EJ Tackett, the overall leader, 5-20 through 2. O'Neill, Belmonte, Prather wrap up Group 1. And in Group 2, Buttriff 503 is the leader. Simonson, Kent, and Andrew Anderson behind him. Jacob Buttriff, the leader in Group 2. Chris Barnes, EJ Tackett, lane level.
And here we are, the biggest score of the day, and Group 1 stacked leader. What did you see out there that made you tell us about how you got to where you did today?
Yeah, I ended up using a little bit bigger bowling ball, using an asymmetric ball, just so that way I feel like I could stay a little bit closer to the hook, get the ball to go a little bit more forward off of it, so I didn't see all the wishy-washy stuff. And I was able to go out and execute, and ended up with good scores.
Yeah, the carry was much better for you than it was for some of the players that went way around it. Now, everyone's talked about you're not the biggest guy on tour,
right,
but you do have the most powerful release of anybody with their thumb in it for sure, and maybe even without the thumb. How do you create so much power out there?
Well, one of the biggest things is just using your legs. You know, a lot of people, amateurs, don't use their legs enough, and bowling isn't different from any other sport. The power starts from the ground up, and that's one thing. Being a smaller guy and playing golf my whole life, I was able to figure out a way to utilize that and use that ground as leverage and create the power that I do.
That's great. And, you know, you didn't have your most successful year as far as shows or wins, but in my opinion, I thought you added a lot of versatility and showed a lot more tools than you get credit for, especially in the slower speed. And then even though you have all that power like today, you're not using all of it to create angle. You're just using it to control the lane. What do you do to use those tools?
It's the same thing as creating the power. You know, I use my feet to dictate how fast or slow I throw the bowling ball. So that's my guide of, you know, especially like the Players Championship, I was throwing it pretty slow. I just slow my feet down and just kind of elongate my swing to match my feet. And then it's vice versa if I want to throw it harder. You know, the swing gets a little more compact and shorter, but my feet get really fast. So that's basically what I do to control that kind of thing.
Well, thank you. That's great information here with our Group 1 leader, E.J. Tackett. Back to Dave and Randy.
Hey, Chris, thanks. E.J. Tackett trying for his 13th career title. The 4 seed off to a great start through 2 games of qualifying here at the PBA Tour Finals.
Again, you don't hear this wrong.
Qualifying show number 1 in the books from Vegas. Now for Randy Peterson and Chris Barnes. The entire CBS Sports Network crew. It's Dave Ryan saying so long for now. We'll be back after the break to bring you more PBA bowling as we continue the Barbasol PBA Tour Finals live from Red Rock Resort in Vegas. It's been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Through 2 games of qualifying, it's all about E.J. Tackett. We got more bowling on the way.